IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we discuss the story of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another brand new episode of the Musafir Stories. Hope you all are well and keeping safe. On our podcast today, we have a returning guest, Ayush Kumar, who is taking us to the land of Utkara. Let's hop on to the episode and find out more.
So, with that introduction, we'd love to welcome back Ayush Kumar, a very dear friend and traveler to the Musafir Stories.
Hey Ayush, welcome back to the Musafir Stories.
Hey Faiza, hey Saif, how are you both?
Good. How are you? And welcome back.
Thank you, thanks again. It's always great to be a part of Musafir Stories, and being the second time, it's really, feel to be privileged to be a part of this. Yeah.
Thank you. We
Our
loved
pleasure,
your previous
our
episode on
pleasure.
Bhubaneswar, and we're happy
Yeah.
to hear more from you.
Yes, our resident expert on Odisha and all things from Odisha. So, really happy to have you, Ayush. But the introduction we gave was quite brief, and also for the ones who are listening to you for the first time, could you please give us a quick introduction about yourself, and also about the things that interest you?
Hey, hello everyone. So this is Ayush Kumar. I'm very generic and IT person from Bangalore. My native is Odisha. So I've been here since past 9 years, and within this duration, when I started my job, I developed the interest towards photography and especially traveling. So I have been traveling extensively in southern part of our country. However, I just miss the bits and parts of staying in my hometown and in my state, Odisha. And one sad part is I do not find many people knowing about the history and the culture of our state, of my state. So I just wanted everyone to have a little bit hands-on, little bit experiencing through just listening to my words and expressing myself about my state. So that's how I would like to introduce myself. And you can you can always follow me up on my Instagram handle as well. It's soul.traveler.kumar. So that's all about me.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very modest introduction, but I can tell you Ayush is our resident expert on Odisha, like I said, and we had a great episode that we covered on Bhubaneswar not long ago. We'll make sure to include that in the show notes section so people who haven't heard it can go and take a listen. But today, Ayush, now that I've kind of given a hint, where are you taking us to?
So today I will be taking you to one of the most popular tourist destinations from Odisha, and probably one of the most sacred places for many people of our country. It's Puri. So Puri is not just an emotion. I think it's just not a place as well. It's all about how our history of Odisha is from. Probably I would like to call Puri as to be the epitome of Odia or Odisha's culture. So my destination would be Puri today, and as you have already mentioned, we covered Bhubaneswar the last time. So Bhubaneswar along with Puri and Konark makes the Swarna Tribhuja, or the golden triangle of Odisha in eastern India. So that's all. That's my destination for today, and I through my words, I think everyone would be able to get little bit and the gist of the feelings which is associated with our beautiful and historical city of Puri.
Okay, sounds great.
Absolutely.
Ayush, for someone who, doesn't know where exactly Puri is, we do know that now from our conversation that it is in Odisha. But if you have to point it out about geographically how and where it's located, can you please tell us that?
So Puri is located on the eastern coastal part of our state of Odisha, and it is nearly about 60 kilometers from the state capital. So Puri is on the coastline of the Bay of Bengal,
Right.
and it has been historically very rich because of its temple and probably its culture. It truly resembles how a coastal part of southern India, especially Kerala, resembles.
Right.
Like if you go, for example, to Cochin or Trivandrum, how the geography is, it's very similar, full of coconut trees, paddy fields, and the greenery, birds everywhere. So that's all the beauty of Puri is all about.
Oh, interesting. And what time of the year would it be best for a person to travel to Puri?
So Odisha is a very humid and a bit hot state, I would say. It's always summery there. So I would suggest everyone to visit probably after the time of Durga Puja, which starts from October to February. However, the best time would be the months of November, December, and January. So the weather will be very pleasant in Puri. It's nearly like 14 degrees Celsius in the night, which makes it extremely beautiful for any foreigner or any person from anywhere in the country to come and visit. And the best part about Puri is it's very near to other tourist places of Odisha, for example, the Mangalajodi wetlands of Chilika Lake. When people come in the month of winters, they can also experience the bird sightings at Mangalajodi, which in the other seasons would not be possible. So the best time definitely is the last 3 months of our year, which is November, December, and the new year of January.
Okay. Sounds perfect.
Wonderful.
And how about getting to Puri, Ayush? What are the options that one can look at when they are planning a trip to Puri?
Yeah, so Puri, as I mentioned, being one of the very holy places for Hindus in our country, it's very well connected by railways and roadways to, I think, all the major parts of our country, maybe all the 4 directions, north, south, east, and the west, as well as the northeastern part. So the railways is one very easily approachable ways of reaching Puri. Apart from that, the road highways from Bhubaneswar to Puri is extremely good, and it's very scenic as well. So if one wants to get and drive across the beautiful lanes of Odisha, they can definitely come by the roadways. And if one needs to come by airport or the flight, they have to come to Bhubaneswar, and it's just 60 kilometers, which would nearly be 2 hours to reach Puri.
Okay, cool.
Sounds perfect. So anybody who's planning to travel to Puri, I think pretty much set about when and how they should go.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayush.
So one more point I would like to add here is the major point or the center point for reaching Odisha is generally considered to be Bhubaneswar.
Right.
So one can easily hire bikes or something and come across the coastal part, because the lanes itself during the monsoons and winters are so beautiful. You would literally enjoy the beauty and the calmness of the place. It's very scenic and serene. So that's a very good way to explore the coastal and the historical parts of Puri.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for setting that geographical context as well, and pointing out where on the map Puri is and how one can get there. But just going back to one of your earlier points, right? Historically and religiously also a very, very significant and a very rich place. And one of the key points, obviously, is the Puri Jagannath Temple, right? So that's one of the
Yes.
key points, and very, very keen on covering that off. But before we start off on that journey, would you also like to call upon a little bit in terms of the historical background about the place, and also the different folklore and stories associated to the temple?
Yes, I think one visit to Puri is not enough to explore the place. Maybe it's not a very big city or something, or has a lot of places.
Right.
However, the myths, the folklore, and the stories associated with the Puri town, and especially the Jagannath Temple, makes it very, very unique in our country. So I think Puri is also, or was also, known as Sri Kshetra or Kshetra. And it has been historically called by many names, though the most popular ones are Sri Kshetra and Purushottam Dham.
Right.
So Purushottam is again another name of Lord Jagannath, and it has been extremely well known for its Jagannath Temple. However, we cannot exactly tell you the date when Jagannath Temple came into existence, because it has again a story, right? Jagannath Temple was rebuilt.
Right.
So the rebuilding phase was told by the Eastern Ganga Dynasty around 10th to 13th century. However, I think Puri Temple's history just comes from the word Neelamadhav as well. So Neelamadhav is or was the probably it's also called as the older name of the Jagannath idol which is present. So Jagannath idol was not an existing idol before the temple came into existence. However, the Jagannath idol was being worshipped in the form of Neelamadhav, which was like a blue shining idol or maybe a jewel, which was worshipped by the people of Subhadra tribe. So Subhadra is one of the older tribes from the state, and they generally worship gods in the form of trees, in the form of jewels and rivers. So it's historically told that the Subhadra tribes used to worship Jagannath, and there was a king from the Malwa dynasty, or from the central Indian provinces of Madhya Pradesh probably, who was an extreme devotee of Vishnu. The king's name was Indradyumna.
Yeah.
So he got a dream from the gods. So it was Vishnu, or the god, who told him that you have to go towards the sea beach of Puri in eastern India, of Odisha, and you would find a log floating ashore the Puri coast.
Right.
You have to take that and you have to carve the idols. Again, the story becomes even more interesting. He was not even able to take the log out of the water. It was some mystery. Nobody was able to do it. None of his ministers, neither the king himself. Then he had to again approach the tribal people, the Sabra people, to take the idol, to take basically the log out of the water, which they were able to do. Then they took it to the basically the court, or to the fort, and where they were supposed to make the idols from the log. And the thing is, again, when they asked the people to make the idol from that log, nobody was able to even scratch a bit from that log. It was so hard. It's again told that Vishwakarma, the architect of our gods, he came in the form of a very old Martian, or a very old person, and he gave a condition to the king and his wife that I would be carving the statues out from this log, but nobody should be seeing me.
Right.
If somebody sees me, I will stop the work at that point of time, or something maybe unfortunate can happen. So with that, he gave a time duration of nearly a month. The thing was, on the last day, on the approaching last days of the construction, the wife of King Indradyumna, her name was Gundicha, she became impatient. Like, why this old man? There's no noise from the inside room, and what the old man is doing, is he dead or something like that? So she forced the king to open the doors. And once the doors were open, there was no old man, and I would say the deities, or the statues of the god, looked to be very different from any existing gods in our country.
Right.
There was no complete hands, there was no complete feet, and there were three idols. So the first idol was of Jagannath, Vishnu, his elder brother Balabhadra, and his younger sister Subhadra. Subhadra's hands were not at all made.
Yep.
So the the king Indradyumna thought it to be a god's wish to leave the idols in the same form, and till today we are worshipping our Jagannath in that way and that form itself. We have never you will not find any modifications in the way the idol should be looking. It is exactly the same, and it is made up of neem wood. Generally in India, yes, neem wood. So generally in India, you would find most of the statues to be made up of stone, or any kind of a hard rock or a metallic form. But this is the only place probably where you would find it of being made up of wood. So that's the folklore associated with the Jagannath Temple and its history. So
very, very interesting story, and a lot of great references you've made there as well. So thank you for calling those out. And to your point made earlier, that it's believed to have been reconstructed right after that by the Eastern Ganga king, Ganga. Right, that was his name, around 1136 AD. So that's time since we know first off about the temple. And we were kind of touching upon the riches of the temple also, right? The temple has seen several attempts, even in terms of just invaders coming and plundering for the loot, right? For the riches of the temple. So that's happened a lot as well. But the beauty of it is that even through these centuries, it has stood through the test of time, and the temple still stands. So one can just imagine the amount of riches the temple and the rulers of the place also possessed during that time, right? So some really
Yes.
interesting stories associated to it, and also calling out the fact that the deities as well, they're made of wood here and are very different to what you might see in other places in India. Yeah. So all
Yes,
of
with those
those.
big eyes, it's
Yeah.
like we literally we from Odisha. We when we see into those eyes, it's like a universe within it. So Jagannath literally means the Lord of the universe, right?
Right.
And these Britishers, when they came to India, they took the word Juggernaut as well in their
Yep.
Oxford dictionary. Basically, I can tell that.
Yep.
So it means something which is immense, which is very huge, which has no limits, and that's how we can describe Jagannath to be.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very interesting reference you made as well. That the word juggernaut, right, that we have in the Oxford Dictionary, that was actually inspired
Coined,
by the word Jagannath, and apparently they were really like blown over by the size and the magnitude of even the. We'll touch upon it later in the conversation, but the chariots, right? The Rath, basically.
Exactly.
The size of
Yes.
them, just the force of them, the sheer magnitude, they were just blown over. And yeah, Juggernaut basically now in English refers to as something that's unstoppable force or something of great magnitude, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, a little bit of trivia there as well to add to the mix. Now, quickly jumping into a little more in terms of the specifics, right? Obviously, we touched upon it that the Jagannath Temple is the heart of Puri, right? That's the key,
Exactly.
key monument, key place. Everything from spirituality to religion, and even like overall, I was reading up that 80% of Puri's economy is based off of the Jagannath Temple and its associated tourism, like the devotees who travel there, or even in terms of employment, the huge kitchen and the different rituals, the festivals, all of those. Most of it is driven by
Yes.
the Jagannath Temple. So definitely would like to jump into that and talk a little bit more about the temple itself, how it, how the construction of the temple is, as well as the different parts within the temple. If you could please call those out for us.
Yes, so Jagannath Temple is a typical Odia or the Kalinga style of architecture, and the main, I would say, the main temple structure altogether would be about 214 feet. So it's extremely huge. Like literally, when you are about 10 or maybe 5 kilometers away from Puri itself, you can literally see the temple from extremely far, like covered with those palm trees all around, and between the temple, sheerly standing magnitude of the temple would draw the attraction towards it. And again, the temple, basically being an Odia style of temple or the Kalinga style of temple, is on an elevated platform, a little bit of a height, and there are 4 different parts associated to the temple. One is basically the Bhoga Mantapa, where the Bhoga Mantap, where the people offer the bhog, or the bhog is offered to the gods, like the prasad. Then we have a Natya Mantapa. So Odisha has always been synonymous towards Odishi dance and its various other folk dance forms. So historically, you would see most of the important tourist destinations and most of the important temples, the large ones in Odisha, definitely have the structure of Natya Mantapa. Even the Konark Sun Temple has it. It's very beautifully carved out there. So similarly goes in for the Puri Jagannath Temple as well. Then you have the sacred sanctorium as well, the main place where the temple deity, the 3 deities are kept. And not only the temple not only has just Jagannath, Balabhadra and Subhadra, there are many other smaller temples within the complex. One needs to spend quite 2-3 hours to explore all the temples. Like there is temple of Durga, there is temple of Lakshmi, because Lakshmi itself is wife of Vishnu. So there are many smaller temples like inside the Jagannath Temple complex. Apart from that, as you mentioned about the kitchen, so it's an amazingly very proud fact that the largest kitchen of our world, it's in Puri Jagannath Temple, and it nearly cooks food which never becomes less for any of the people coming to the temple. So nobody goes
Hungry,
without
yeah.
having any.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's how much scale of the Jagannath Temple's kitchen is, and nearly around 800 people work daily to make food or the prasad there. And after offering the prasad or the bhog, as we call in Odia language, So to the gods, it's offered to the common public as well, and one definitely needs to be there in the temple and have the food. It's extraordinarily very tasty. We shouldn't associate generally bhog or prasad to be with any taste. However, it is so well prepared and it is so good. Like literally, you would, even if you have little, right? It's magical. We cannot imagine if you just have little. It literally fills your stomach. Before around in the month of December, I visited with my parents. We ordered quite a lot. In the sense, we bought it from Pandit, from the temple itself, and we had little, and it was enough to fill our stomachs and give the satisfaction of a blessed feeling from the temple.
Right.
So,
And you even heard that the kitchen does not use vegetables that were introduced later to the Indian subcontinent, right? Like
exactly.
no onions, no potatoes.
True. So the entire concept of the Puri Jagannath's food is that it is all based on the food products or the basically the vegetables, the fruits, the things which were native to our country. So you would never find potato, tomato, onion, garlic.
Yeah.
So instead of potato, you would be literally surprised to find maybe sweet potato, yam in most of the things.
Right.
So that's how the comparisons is. And one more interesting fact about the temple is it's also told. I'm not telling you it may be scientifically correct, but it's told that even salt is not used in the food, but when you taste it, it has the salt taste. Like these are all some myths, and maybe it's just a belief of people, which gives us the belief on God itself. And again, an interesting story about the kitchen, because it forms a very important part of Puri temple. Why so? Because it's told that Lord Vishnu comes to have his food in Puri Jagannath Temple. So among the 4 holy places of our country, he meditates at one place. Probably it is the northern part or the Badrinath. He comes for having his food in Puri. So the food is considered a very important part, and generally Chapan Bhog, which is 56 varieties of prasad, are offered each day, and literally keeps changing day by day, and with special occasions it may increase as well. So that's how it is. And I would recall that when I visited the temple literally 2 years back, so the priest, generally when you enter the temple, a priest would definitely help you for the worship, and taking you around the temple, explaining the facts, and maybe having you a good maybe a lunch, which is the prasad there inside the temple complex itself. So he told me that, sir, the food is prepared in clay pots always.
Right.
Okay.
It's all the clay pots, and the clay pots are lined 7 on each other, one above the other. And it's again a myth, not a myth, I would say. It's again a very astonishing fact, and maybe a blessing of God, that the topmost clay pot, the first clay pot, it cooks first. However, basically the wood, it's all prepared in wood fire. The wood is on the 7th one, but the 7th one is cooked last. The first pot on the top cooks first. So like that literally we some things are beyond our science and facts, right? So
correct. Yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes it's like we just have to follow, we just have the belief. So maybe it's just Jagannath's blessings. So that's the beauty part of it. And if anyone wants to have the prasad or prasadam, basically the bhog inside the temple, so you can go to a bazaar inside the temple itself. It's called Anand Bazaar. So anyone who goes to the Anand Bazaar during different times of the day, you would get different prasads. So most of the people prefer going for the lunch there. So where you can get many varieties. Again, you will have a sweet. There are traditional Odia dishes like mohara, besara, kanika. Kanika is nothing but a sweet pulao, and there is a dish itself called Odia. So the name of the dish is like Odia, and like how southern India is daily associated with sambar, we have a dish in Odisha called as dalma. So that's the quintessential of Odia cuisine. It's like the daily food for our people. So that's offered to the god as well. So we do not just consider Jagannath to be a god. We consider him to be a living being. He's more of a living being, like a human, than a god as well. We consider him to be the eldest member of our family, and he's the one who controls the family. He's the one who is like a god to the family. So that's how associated we would call it as Jagannath Sanskruti. It's very well known across our globe. And for example, ISKCON Temple. ISKCON Temple takes a lot of beliefs, lot of practices from the Jagannath Temple as well. And because Jagannath itself is a form of Krishna and Vishnu. So that's all I would say about the Jagannath Temple.
Yeah.
So
a couple of other interesting things also I saw was one of the ceremonies or one of the activities that was performed was also the flag changing that's done every day, right? Ayush, that you'd like to call out? Yeah.
Yes, so it's basically the flag changing, which happens every day. On every single day, it needs to happen. You can imagine 214 feet high structure is. It's nearly 36 stories of a building.
Right.
There is no stairs to climb, and there are priests, the Brahmin priests, who literally who have to lit a diya every day there, and they do a little bit of worship. They carry the flags with themselves, and they climb with holding the temple structure, not having any physical support like a mechanized support to go there. It's a life-risking job, but yeah, with the blessings of Lord Jagannath and with the beliefs, every day the person needs to go there, climb on the top, change the flag every day. And one more interesting fact about the flag is that generally it's as well told that the flag always flies on the opposite direction of the wind. So we do not have an answer again for it. Science cannot prove it maybe, but that's how it is.
Yeah,
and
this was also surprising. Basically what you're saying is you'd expect a flag to be fluttering in the direction of the wind, right?
Exactly.
But here it's the opposite is right? So yeah, that was also a little astonishing, like you said. Just how you would explain that, nobody knows, but that's what you see in action.
Correct. So there is it's told that if a day is missed, if the flag is not changed, then the temple needs to be closed for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm
not very aware, and I'm not very sure why that is, but it's been years, thousands of years, it's been practiced the same way, and it has been going on. Maybe it is a cyclone, maybe it is anything. The priest, literally he has to go to the top, he has to change it at any point or any season of the year. And not only the flag, it's also told that the Sudarshan Chakra of Lord Vishnu is present atop the temple complex. So it's again a circular structure made up of Ashtadhatu, as Ashtadhatu is 7, with the 8 metals. And and very interesting thing is, if you are in any place of the city or any place within nearby Puri, whenever you see Jagannath Temple, you would always see the Sudarshan Chakra on the top, facing the front direction only. Even if you face it from front, you face it from back, east to west, any direction, you would always see it to be as if it's visible from the front. It is looking towards you. It is not like the structure changes. So maybe it is an architectural marvel, or the design of it is such way. So those things really make Puri Temple one of the most mysterious temple as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of marvelous little tidbits and beautiful stories, right? I think that's the best part of going deeper into these. And Ayush, obviously the other thing, the thing of most importance about the Jagannath Temple and about Puri as well in general is the Rath Yatra, right? One of the key festivals of the temple. Would you like to touch upon that and give us a little bit of a background? Because as I was reading up on this, I also saw that there's almost like 24 different festivals every year that happen, and the Jagannath, the Puri Rath Yatra, it's just one of them. Yeah, so that way also very, very rich culturally in terms of the different the rituals and the ceremonies and the festivals that happen with the temple, right?
Yes. So, yes, Puri and the temple associated with the temple has many festivals across the year. However, the biggest one and the most popular one among I think everyone in the world knows about it, is the Puri Jagannath Temple's Rath Yatra. And I think it's been about 700 years or older. I think since the temple has come to an existence, it's been happening. There's never a year it has never happened. Even during the tougher times of COVID last year, the government had to take a special practice because it's just a ritual which they wanted to do it in a smaller scale. So Rath Yatra has beautifully, extensively massive chariots which are made in many months. I think the preparation for Rath Yatra literally starts 2 to 3 months before.
Right.
And Rath Yatra generally happens during the Asada Masa, which is generally in Odia as we call it Asada Masa. It's generally during the monsoons in the late June or the July month of our year. So it starts with preparation of the new Rathas every year from scratch.
Right.
So, however, I would like to mention Rath Yatra is synonymous, or it is happening at every city and place in Odisha. However, in Puri extensively, they make the Rathas new from scratch every year. And you would be very surprised again to know about this fact as well, that the measurements used, the components which need to be used when making the Ratha is exactly the same. It's exactly of the same, I would say, the arithmetic and the mathematically accurate precision as it was being used from maybe hundreds of years. It has
Right.
never changed. And there are specific people who do that, and they used only traditional, I would say, maybe there's an hammer, which is all traditional based. It's not the modern things which they can use it. It's all the how it used to happen in the ancient times. It's being practiced in the same way. That's how the Rath Yatra starts. Again, before the Rath Yatra starts, there are two important festivals associated. I would start with the I would start with the Snana Jatra, as we call it. So Snana, I would start with the Chandan Yatra. Sorry, Chandan Yatra comes before the Snana Yatra. So Chandan Yatra is the longest festival in which the construction of the Rathas start. So that's how the Chandan Yatra is.
Okay.
And during these times, so some of the deities of the temple are taken out of the temple, and they go on a boat ride in a specific pond of the temple, which belongs to the temple. There are many, I think there are about 5 holy, I would say, ponds or water bodies which are considered auspicious. One needs to take bath there and go.
Right.
So
The Panchatirtha.
they are taken. Exactly,
Right.
something like that. So they are taken there for a ride, and after that, the main festival comes is called as the Snana Jatra. So, or the Snana Purnima. It happens on a Purnima. So Snana, it basically means taking bath. So again, inside the complex, there is a very old well. So the water is only drawn on this particular day. About 108 big pots of water are drawn from that particular well, and the 3 gods, are taken out of the temple, and they are literally bathed with that water. It has precious, I think, several other maybe Ayurvedic things as well added to it to make it more pious, make it more, I would say, pure. And it's also told that after the gods take bath, they get fever. So it's called as Anusara. And I would specifically give emphasis on this point is because of the times we are in currently. Do you know, it's very interesting, this Anusara or fever is also called as a 14-day quarantine. So God, after getting fever, he himself, along with his brother and sister, Balabhadra, Subhadra, they go into a 14-day quarantine. So
God.
at that point of time, they are like, people cannot worship them because they are ill. We consider them, like, as I told, we consider Jagannath to be more human than God. He's part of our lives. He's just a family member as well for us sometimes. So he gets ill, and they are taken care, and at that point of time they are not fed with the normal chapan bhog because you are not well. So they are prepared with or they are fed with specific things, like, for example, khichdi, or we call it as khichdi in Odia. So because it's very light, right? We can understand it. When we are ill, we as well have khichdi because it's very light and easy to digest. Something similar.
Right.
So it's told, and I was reading it across one of the very good articles from last year before like during the time of COVID, like it was mentioned, when God could quarantine himself for 14 days, why not humans? Right? It's a learning for all of us. Like as I previously mentioned in my Bhubaneswar episode as well, temples are not just points of worship. It's more of points of learning. We need to take inspiration from the learning and learning from the daily activities which are happening in the temple. So these 3 festivals mark the beginning of Jagannath Yatra or the Rath Yatra. So once the Anasara period or the quarantine period is gone, the gods are fine. So they are taken in hugely decorated chariots. Again, their chariots have 3 specific names. So the Jagannath chariot is called as Nandi Ghosha. The Balabhadras again is called as Dhwaja, and Subhadra, the sisters, is called as Darpadalana. So these are the three hugely decorated chariots, which are literally pulled by coconut. There are very thick coconut coils which are tied to the Rath, because Rath has to be operated manually. There is no mechanical instrument being used there, and people from across the state, especially from the state of Odisha and nearby states of West Bengal, Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh or nearby states, they come there to pull the chariot, and it's also called that the ones who touches the ropes of the temple, like ropes of the Ratha, gets moksha in their life. So it's we always used to, my grandfather always used to make a point that we always go for Rath Yatra and we pull the Rath. We just not go and watch it, we pull the Rath. So it always obviously gives us a feeling of being very satisfied, and it's a way of taking blessings, and so that's how the grand scale of Puri Jagannath Temple's Rath Yatra is. So again, it goes about for 10 days, and he travels from his own home, which is the Sri Temple, or the main Jagannath Temple, to his to the temple of Gundicha. So the Gundicha Temple is located on the about 3 kilometers from Jagannath main temple, and I forgot to mention that the road which connects these two endpoints, Jagannath Temple and Gundicha Temple, is called as the Bada Danda, Bada Road, basically. It's huge. It's literally so wide that you can imagine the rathas are so huge. So you need a very huge road for it to be pulled out in a very good way, in a very specific way. So the road's name is called Bada Danda, and it's Puri's culture. You can feel it on that road itself. If you just walk on the road, there are several mathas. There are many mathas in Puri which were established by many significant people. For example, Sankaracharya, he has one of his mathas in Puri. And then Ramanuja, he also visited Puri, so he has one of the mathas there. So there are several mathas which are located on the way, and many old buildings as well, you can see it. So I would suggest anyone to take a rickshaw ride on that particular road, because nowadays we do not see rickshaws, the paddling rickshaws, we do not see them. So if you sit on that and if you just go around, you can see so many activities all around, filled with colors, filled with sweets. Odisha is generally synonymous with sweets as well. We cannot live without sweets. That's how it is. So you would find a lot of sweets there. So again, the gods are taken to the Gundicha temple, and that is it's basically a week or a 10 days event. And again, the return journey is called as the Bahuda Jatra. So the gods are again taken back from their Gundicha temple to the Sri temple or the Jagannath temple. Again, people come in huge numbers to pull the chariots back to the temple. And there are other events which happen after that. So I would name one of the most important events here. I think it's called as the Shuna Besa. So Suna in Odia, it basically means gold, and Besho is just attire. So the gods, before they go inside the temple, it's open for the public. The gods and the deities are present on the inside the rathas, and they are decorated with all the gold ornaments with the hands. At that point of time, you can literally see hands, the feet of the god. That is all made up of gold, and it is from the temple treasures. It is decorated onto the gods and the deities, and then it's open for the public. It's a beautiful event, and if you see the deities at that idols at that point of time, it is astonishingly very beautiful. It's all gold, and with the traditional Odia, I would say, the attire, it literally takes it to a different level. So we all people in our state, after we generally visit the Rath Yatra, and we make sure that we are going for the Sunabesho as well.
Yeah, definitely very, very interesting. And that whole journey that you called out as well is really marvelous, just in terms of the different connections. And just to kind of touch upon, right, the Gundicha temple that you mentioned earlier on, where the Rath Yatra basically ends and then returns from there, that's Gundicha is the wife of King Indradyumna that we referred to earlier, right? So that's the connection from the previous stories that we made as well. So that way, it's really, really fascinating. And one other important... go ahead. Ayush?
So yeah, Saif and Faisal. There is one more like a very funny event, I think, which is there in the folklore as well. I just remembered it, so I thought I should share this. So it's told that Jagannath, along with his brothers and sister, they went to the temple, and I think there were some other deities as well who go along with the gods in the Ratha to the Gundicha temple for their vacation. So the wife of Vishnu, like Lakshmi, she gets angry with Jagannath. She tells that you didn't take me, so I will not let you inside the temple. So at that point of time, it's told that she offers a bowl of rasagullas to Jagannath. Jagannath offers a bowl of rasgulla to Lakshmi. So, basically to please her, please let me in. So that's there was again a debate going on long back for rasgulla's invention. So if you go through the through the Panaji or through the basically the manuscripts of the Jagannath Temple. So it's told that this story relates to the invention of or the use of Rasgulla as a prasad in Jagannath Temple. And it's been, so it's been, I think more than 800 years, like it's present in the temple history. But that's just a very good story to put here as well. Like gods as well fight and they need to be pleased with some sweets. So that's how it is.
That should also lay rest the debate about the origins of the Rasgulla, I guess. But I think it's great that both Odisha and West Bengal have their own versions GI tagged. So
and I think it should even be like an inspiration to all the husbands. Saif, are you listening?
Right. And one other interesting thing that I came across that perhaps you would like to touch upon as well is, I believe this might be a ceremony or a festival, but it's called Naba Kalebara. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but would you like to touch upon that as well, Ayush?
Yes, so Naba Kalebara, as I it's called Naba Kalebara basically, and I would like to mention it as I previously mentioned as well, that we consider Jagannath to be human.
Right.
It's more of human. So obviously a human has to die at that point of time. We have a belief that God as well goes off. He cannot stay with us forever, or he leaves this place and goes off. Basically the deity, the idol. So this is basically recreation of the wooden forms of the three deities, or the three new idols, or the murti of the gods are prepared again. And there is a very interesting story behind it as well, Saif and Faiza. As I previously told you, that God was as well known as Nila Madhava, right?
Right.
So, there is something which is very secretive towards the temple. It doesn't give much detail about it, but in humans we consider like we have a soul, right? So we consider that the Jagannath idol is also living. It's a living god. So obviously when the soul goes off, the idol dies. Basically the god dies at that point of time. So how we would like to put it is, there is a specific substance which is told to be present inside the temple, which gives the feeling of soul, which gives it life to a temple deity, the Jagannath deity or the idol. It's called as Brahma Padartha. Okay. So again, that Brahma Padartha is something which is not at all known to any public, and it is only known to very, very few people, probably of the temple administration, and it's not open for public to know what it is exactly. However, there are speculations that it's a jewel, it's some kind of an instrument or some kind of a jewel which has extensive powers, and it's basically on the Naba Kalebara, on the night, the old deity or all the old murtis, basically the idols which are present, the headmost priest or the important priest of the temple, he is blindfolded, and the entire Puri town along with the temple is made dark, in the sense the electricity supply is cut off across the entire town of Puri. It is pitch dark. People do not step out of that day, on that particular day. And the main priest, along maybe with some other priests as well, he goes inside the main temple and he takes the Brahma Padartha out of the old idol and he places it inside the new idol. So that's how we are giving a new life to the new idol. From that time, that new idol becomes living. The god comes back. So it happens maybe within a duration of 8 years.
sometimes 12 and sometimes 19 years as well. So that's how important Navakalebara is, and that's how we can relate it to our lives as well. We can always take inspiration from these things. Like it's a circle of life basically. Whatever ends has to begin, and whatever begins has to end as well. So this is how important Navakalebara is in Puri and for specifically the Jagannath Temple.
Yeah, definitely another very fascinating story, and I believe the last time the ceremony happened was in 2015. So it's not too long ago. Yeah, so another one might be coming up. But yeah, you never know, right? It could be 8, 12 or 18 years. So you cannot say with maturity as to when the next one will be. Now, before we kind of move on from the temple, I know like ideally one would visit Puri during the Rath Yatra to kind of enjoy the whole experience of it, as well as most aspects related to the town. But for someone who might be visiting, say at a time when the Rath Yatra is not happening, there's definitely several other options to check out in the town, even though the town is pretty small, like you said. Would you like to call upon some of those options and experiences as well for us?
Yes, sir. So I think apart from the Puri temple, the second most important point would be the Puri's beach. It's very crowded most of the time, and especially during the tourist seasons, I would say, or the peak season, it gets extremely crowded. However, thing which makes Puri beach very, I would say, different from other beaches of the country is its colors, its presence, the people. It's always bustling with that energy, the people smiling, there are always kids all around, and if you're really lucky, we have sand arts which originated in Puri as well. So yes, like India is represented by one of the major dignitaries. His name is Sudarshan Patnaik. He has he displays his sand art for public at the Puri beach. It's sometimes like it's an open theater basically. You can literally go there and you can see different maybe performances all the year round. Sometimes during the December or during the November time, the state government and the tourism department organizes beach festivals there. And some other things which would separate the Puri beach again is I think it will be very interesting for people who are interested in food, gastronomy. It's very, very gastronomically favorite among people for its seafood, of course. You would get good seafood there, and you can enjoy the local sweets. You will literally, if you go to any beach, you will not see people selling sweets there. But if you just go there, rent maybe just 2-3 seats and just sit there and have a relaxing time in the evening during the sunset hours, you can see people selling samosa, maybe different snacks, Odia signatories, and different kinds of sweets, which makes the place very interesting again. So one interesting thing is you would find a lot of camels everywhere. People would be taking camel rides, and it would be very colorfully decorated with our Indian colors. So the whole atmosphere is very thrilling, and it's always good to be at Puri beach. Like how much ever we are, we never get bored of being at Puri, and especially the beach. And as I mentioned before, mathas, people who are looking maybe for a little bit of an spiritual experience or rejuvenation, or they can as well go to the mathas and maybe visit. I'm not sure if you need to have permissions or what needs to be done for it, but yeah, it's an important place and insignificant place for Puri city and our country as well. And the other thing which I think would definitely comes to my mind is the bazaar, or the other streets and the roads across the town of Puri nearby the temple to the Puri beach, the entire stretch. You would literally find the Odia maybe saris, very famous. You would get the typical Odia clothing there. You would get very good sweets, no doubt about it. So there's a very specific sweet which I would like to mention from Puri. It's called khaja. So khaja. So it's like basically long fried crepes made up of maybe maida and then fried in ghee or a little bit of sugar. So that's how the description is. A little bit of cardamom in it. So it's told to originate in Puri, and you would find several versions in our country, and one from Andhra Pradesh as well goes. That's one of the sweets which I would like to mention from Puri. And yes, if somebody is interested for buying traditional Oriya, maybe handlooms or traditional Oriya artifacts, they can easily get it in Puri. Like literally each and every shop there is selling you shirts which are of the Oriya attire, of the typically Oriya fabric. So we need to visit those places and explore the beauty of it as well. It's always crowded there. It's bustling again. Like you have the smell of the fried things all around. Then so people cheering up, and that's how you get a very good feeling of being in a city and enjoying your vacation there. So we should always visit the streets and the lanes to explore the local culture, right? So you would get a little bit of taste over there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly a lot of other things to do as well, like you called out, and especially if you like to say chill out at the beach or even try your hand at a lot of these different handicrafts that you mentioned that are local to the region. So thanks so much for calling all of those out, and for the ones who want to combine this with a bigger itinerary like Ayush called out at the beginning, you could always mix and match with either Bhubaneswar or Konark itinerary together, because they're not too far away from each other. Yeah, so definitely very, very accessible. And a couple other interesting places as well that we touched upon, the Chilika Lake being one of them, the largest brackish water lake in India, right? That's one. And also the artisan village of Raghurajpur. That's an interesting place to go to. It's a little way off, but certainly can be visited for the unique handicrafts that come out of the region. So thanks so much, Ayush. It was really, really interesting. And I mean, initially when I thought, I wasn't sure if just covering Puri on an episode we would have enough content to talk about, but certainly we have only touched the surface from what I've seen, and also what I've the amount of notes I had. It's really, really deep, and no wonder, I think even spiritually and religiously, right, it's a very, very significant place, and the conversation alluded to that all over, but it is one of the Char Dhams, if we haven't called that out, along with Badrinath, Dwarka and Rameshwaram, I believe. This is one of the Char Dhams, so very, very significant, and has visitors and devotees from all over India and abroad as well.
So thank you so much, Ayush, again, for taking us around and telling us some mind-blowing facts about the temple, and it was really a nice episode.
And it was great to have you back, I should say.
Of course.
So good, little like as we planned. I even didn't expect that Puri would be an entire topic to discuss on, an entire chapter. But since, as you mentioned, it's just a scratch. Puri has a lot of other things and maybe other myths as well associated with it. And there are several things which we cannot explore in a single episode, obviously. So I would suggest everyone to just visit it, learn a little bit and listen to the different stories from people who are there from the local place. You would get the feeling of being in a mystical land, in a very beautiful land, no doubt.
Yeah. Absolutely. Couldn't have put it any better. Thank you so much, Ayush. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
That was yet another great episode on the Musafir Stories. Make sure to show us some love by sharing the podcast with your friends and family. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Musafir Stories. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM podcast app or the website. Follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.